Welcome to Rosalind the Pet Psychic's podcast, the show where animal intuition meets untold stories. I'm Rosalind, your host and resident pet psychic. Each week, we dive into the unbelievable, the heartwarming, and sometimes the downright haunting tales from the animal world, told by the people who live them, whether it's a horse who knew too much and spilled the tea, a trainer who crossed the line, or a pet with a message from beyond. We're here to explore the deeper truths behind the stories that leave us wondering, what do our animals know that we don't? This program may include real names, places, and events when shared with consent, as well as stories that have been anonymized or fictionalized to protect the identity and safety of individuals. The content of this podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Views expressed by the host and guest are personal opinions and conjecture and should not be interpreted as fact or as professional advice. With some episodes may include educational insights or expert commentary, listeners are encouraged to use their own judgment and consult appropriate professionals when needed. Got a wild horse, dog, or cat story of what not to do? Breeding gone wrong? Buyer beware? A riding mishap with a lesson? I want to hear it. If you're in the holistic or horse world and want to share your story or even promote your biz, head to rosalindthepetpsychic.com and text or email me. You might be featured on the podcast. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Rosalind the Pet Psychic. I have a beautiful guest today. We actually met on social media and have kind of lived close together and met each other and seen each other in real life at like Mustang summits and fun things like that. She is definitely a horse person that you want to follow on social media. So I want you to add your tag there. But anyways, welcome Ginger to the podcast.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Ginger, tell me like who you are, where people can find you, and all the good stuff.
All the platforms under Manzanita Farm. The hashtag is Tacky Ass Farm because I raise and show marsh tackies, which is the South Carolina state horse, and also miniature donkeys.
Oh,
And
fun.
I mesh the two of those together, and we teach horsemanship lessons out here and do some light showing, things like that, and hopefully raise some baby donkeys.
Oh, I love it. That's exciting. I love donkeys. I love donkeys. They're interesting. We might have to do a blip on donkey health. People don't realize that they have to eat a little differently than horses.
Yes, very much.
Well, how-
Especially in the South. I mean, because we just love to eat around here and we have good grass and the donkeys don't need it.
No. Okay, we'll go into that in just a little bit. But let's talk about this precious that I've seen a picture of her. Let's talk about Grace. How did you get Grace? What is Grace? What are your plans with Grace?
Well, Grace is an American paint horse, so she is not a marsh tacky. So I actually did not want Grace. And I guess I can't really tell you the full story on Grace without at least touching on Mercy first. And Mercy passed away back in November. And that's a whole nother podcast, in itself. But we lost Mercy in November. And at the time I was like, no more horses. I'm done. I'm just going to focus just on the ones that I already have. We're not bringing in any more rescues or, whatever. Like, we're just going to focus just on the ones that are here. And then about a month and a half later, a gentleman that I knew in the past had gotten sick and he had passed away. And unbeknownst to me, he had told his family that if when something happened to him, to call Ginger because she would take Grace. Now, he never mentioned to me anything about taking Grace. I didn't even know he had a Grace. Yeah, I didn't know anything about her. So just out of the blue one day, I got a Facebook message and said, hey, Mr. Gary passed away and he said he wanted you to have Grace. So can you come pick her up tomorrow?
Oh my gosh. That is like so out of the blue. And so what? I have another horse. I have to deal with this. That is crazy energy.
Yeah, it was. And on top of that, Grace had not been messed with or touched from what I can gather from people who knew them for like 8 to 10 years. She has been out in this round pen. It's not too small, but I mean, it's round pen panels. It's not big either. And she had shelter and he took care of her. She was not abused in any kind of way, but she was like neglected in the way that she was just like dumped all stock feed and walked away. So she has not had her feet done. She's had no vet care. She has not been handled in many, many years. And
her teeth, she needed her teeth, her feet, everything. How did she look when you got, because I've seen pictures, she's beautiful.
yeah, I was so mad about that, actually, because she looked amazing. She is very morbidly obese. She's too fat because they were feeding her like 6 pounds of all stock feed a day, and they did have a round bale in her pen. She did not go without, like, for sure. Very, very overweight, and she can hardly move. Like, she's very stiff. Like, she's so overweight that like she can't turn her head and like touch her sides because she's so crusty. So we've been working on, changing the diet and being in a round pen. She's not very agile. Her exercise program is like none. So it's been very slow. Her feet they're bad, but not too awful bad. They're just like big old paddles, but not horse, flipped up or anything like that, but just big clods. Her teeth are in terrible shape. She goes in 2 weeks to the vet because her trailing skills are like 0 to none. And so we've been working on that. So that's been fun, teaching a 14-year-old paint horse, full grown horse, on how to get in and out of a trailer calmly and respectfully. So when she's she's not a mean horse in any kind of way, but she doesn't really respect human space, because she's just walked over the top of people. And it's not in any kind of aggression or anything. She just doesn't know any better. She just thinks you're just going to move out of her way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So after so she's 14, and from I'm just going to interject from a psychic standpoint, and like what you said, she feels like she's 20. She doesn't hurt like she's 20, but she physically feels like she's 20 when I channel her. Is this reversible?
Think so. I mean, I was a personal trainer for 15 years, and I've worked mostly with seniors in the town that I lived in, and the gym that I worked in was, geared towards seniors. And so I've worked with them, and, absolutely they were able to go from sedentary to, being more active. I mean, is it a longer process? Sure. Do you have to go in a slower pace? Yeah. But I don't think that at least I hope not. I mean, we go to the vet in 2 weeks. I'm going to have them draw blood work, make sure that she's not metabolic. She may be. It's a good possibility. But, things like that. But she seems very healthy. She does have a lot of clicking. When she walks, she sounds like she has a lot of arthritis. And I think it's just, you can go from, the two different ends of the scale. Like, you can work out too hard and hurt yourself, or you can not work out at all and hurt yourself. And I think that's kind of where she is in life. She doesn't know how to stand for the farrier. And she wasn't being bad or anything. She just didn't know how to hold her body in space. Like, she doesn't know how to hold up 3 legs.
So she leans on him for support.
Right. And she's like wobbling all around, and so we're like, okay, we're going to have to work on balancing, which she should have learned as a yearling, a weanling yearling 2-year-old tops, those kind of skill sets.
Yeah. So let me ask you, did she come with papers?
No. So the family members, they live out in Texas. I don't know how the relationship was with the gentleman who passed away. He said he's coming back in March to do probate stuff. And if he finds the papers, supposedly she does, if he finds the papers, he'll call me. Am I holding my breath? No. But she looks like it.
So she is local. Like, how far of a trailer ride did she have to go to get
15 minutes.
Oh, that's good. Okay. That was great.
Yeah. She's right down the road.
Okay. So what's your plans with her?
Okay.
That's okay. You don't have to know. You just did a horse in a day with no way to get out of it. So the dead man spoke, and you were like, here we go.
Well, yeah, kind of like she's not the breed that I focus on. If I were to buy another horse, it would be a Marsh Tacky or another Pasifino because I would prefer to have a gaited horse, and she is so far not gaited at all. She's a much larger horse than I like. Um,
Yeah.
she's all the things that I would not have picked out for myself. But then there's something about her too that I'm like, I don't know if I want to fix her up and get her ready and then try to rehome her. And then, you almost feel all that guilt. Like, I don't want Mr. Gary coming and like knocking on the door in the middle of the night.
What'd you do with my horse?
Right. Yeah. So there's a little bit of that still.
So can I speak on the energies of you and her? Like, can I do a little bit of psychic stuff? So I love this because, and I want you to answer me if this is true or not. I do not feel that you have sympathy for her in a non-nurturing way. Like, does that make sense? Like, you don't feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Whereas, but some people are like, "Oh, poor pitiful thing. You don't have a home. You don't have a family. You're going through all this stuff." And I say that because that also is letting her personality blossom in a different way. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, she wasn't ever abused or harmed in any kind of way. She just doesn't know things. And I think she seems to me anyway to be pretty happy here. Like, she's easy to catch, comes right up. She wore a old halter for all those years, and I took it off of her within the first few days, and I have no problem going out there and catching her. She loves the other horses. Honey is not having it yet. Like, Honey is not, you cannot sit with us kind of thing, but they're working on it.
Yeah, I can feel that she's so grateful to have company now. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's not lonely. She was very lonely and didn't know, like, I mean, think about it, being in panels. I mean, and I know, and I feel like it was a good size, and she had food to graze on and keep her occupied. But whenever the food stopped filling her up and this and that, there was nothing to do. There was nothing, not very much interactions and this and that. So yeah, she has, life is a little bit of an adventure now. The only thing for her is she can't move fast enough to get out of the way of some of the other horses sometimes, and they do kind of bully her, but they also kind of pick on her because she doesn't know. And like, no, y'all don't feel bad, don't give no bad energies. This is helping her to move, and it's going to help like unlock some of that stuff in her body so she will get better. I also don't think they're being aggressive with her. They're just being bossy and pecking order and teaching her horse lingo that she doesn't quite understand, but she's picking up because she's not dumb. There's nothing dumb about
I
her.
definitely, yeah, agree with that. Because Honey's definitely, she's the herd boss. Like, she's the one who decides everything, where everybody stands and breeds. And she does. And she is getting better. They are communicating a lot more. Honey is starting to settle in with her. She still rides her pretty hard, but not like she did like in the beginning. And she does move better. She had her first farrier appointment yesterday, actually. So we finally got some of that length off. And she even trotted around the pasture a little bit yesterday instead of like paddling. Like, she was starting to pick her feet up a little bit more.
Oh, that's so good.
And she has lost weight. We've changed her diet, throughout this past month very slowly. It was so hard having to buy a bag of all stock. Like, I almost had a panic attack doing that.
But you have to realize, like, this is probably the first and last bag I'll have to buy.
I was like, and it was so funny too, because of like how pretty that she is. I mean, she's so pretty and she's so shiny coated and everything. And I was like, I'm paying $30, and mine look like wild marsh tackies. They're out there covered in mud and muck and fairy knots all in their hair, and they look like I've never touched them a day in their life. And she's just so shiny and pretty, just standing over there. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
That's all the fat. That's all the fat. It had to go somewhere, so now it's coming out of the skin and the hair.
Yeah, it is.
To grease everything up, poor thing. Is there anything else that you want to share about her?
She does seem like, because I don't know much about her past training, but I did want to ask you some of this. She does seem like she may have been green broke at one point. Like, she lets me put the saddle and stuff on her, and she acts as if she knows what that is. Like, she doesn't act as if that's not hasn't happened to her at some point in life. And she's starting to respond to groundwork stuff. Now, again, like, I think she probably wasn't well trained, but I don't know if she's ever had a rider on her. And if she has or hasn't, doesn't matter. But, like, would she want to? Would she want to be ridden?
So let me ask you a couple of questions, because he didn't have her since she was a baby.
Oh, I think she was around like 2 or 3, something like that, when they
I'm
got her.
feeling 4, just so you know. And then also, she has been, in our eyes, it would be green broke. because your idea of well broke and my idea of well broke are not, or with what she has is not, they don't equal out. Like her turning abilities, she's not going to know how to heck. So what I feel like is she's had saddle and she's gone places, but the whole bit bridle communication, leg on, like that doesn't make sense to her in her head. And so when I show her things, saddle feels right, bridle feels funny, is what she says. And then going and moving will probably not be that bad right now. It's when she starts to feel good enough that she can move. I don't think she'll be bad. I think that's when you have like such a window of time to teach her things before
Right.
her body feels really good. And then once her body feels really good and she has a lot of lessons, then you have a lot less of her possibility of not being so reactive.
Yes, please. Don't want that.
No, don't want that for sure. Not that. So that's how she feels.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because
I always wonder about her, and there's really nobody's really giving me any kind of answers. They're just kind of like,
I have a feeling, I hope you get her papers, and I have a feeling if you do, you'll be able to find out more answers through the people. You'll probably be able to link some things up, because I feel like she's local. I feel like,
I think so. Yeah, I think she is.
and she didn't make it as like what they would have wanted for a show horse, and so it's like, hey, do you want this horse?
Probably so.
Happened so much. Yeah, so I get that. Is there anything else you want me to ask her? Because I want to ask you about donkeys.
I think that was like the main thing, is like kind of like what she knew, how she felt about being here. And being, because I know that even though she was lonely there, that's like her home for so long, and I know that can be sometimes, I mean, I guess it's traumatic for anybody, but I try not to let it override anything else. If that makes sense.
So, and not to blame anybody or say anything, I don't know if she was getting fed as equally as she once was towards the end, and it was less people and less interaction. So she knew things were shifting. So you can answer this. Did she have a complete meltdown when you came and got her? Of like trying to get on the trailer?
It wasn't actually all that bad. It did take somebody behind her flagging her, but I mean, she never even had to get touched or anything with the flag. I mean, we just flagged her and she got in with me. And I tied her up, and then she got real nervous and shaky then. But she rode fairly well in the trailer home, but she was just very like, oh my God, like, where am I going? What am I doing? Which I know that's normal for somebody who hasn't done that in a gazillion years. So I wouldn't say that she totally freaked out now.
So this tells me a lot about her that will help you, hopefully. She is an internal anxiety freezer instead of a fleer or fighter. So it all comes in and she gets all like, oh my God, what's happening? But she has a very trusting nature for people.
That makes sense.
Which also is really great, because that means nobody's done anything really bad.
I don't feel that she's like that. I think it's just more of like, I really have no idea what I'm doing or what you're asking me to do. And
yeah. And so then she does have a stubborn streak. Yeah, you already, like most of yours do. And it's not, hers isn't stubborn because I'm unwillingly to do this, that might come a little bit later. Her stubbornness is, I don't know what you're asking, and I'm very uncomfortable internally. I don't know what you're like, and that's what she kind of like shows me is like, I don't know what you're asking, and I don't know, kind of like energy in her.
Yeah.
But once, because you're so slow and empathic too, once you slow down to what she needs because her energy went up, then you function really good to help support her through learning.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is really good. And I say that out loud because so many trainers don't slow down to let the horse catch up. And you would be shocked at all my years of channeling. There's some horses that are so smart, but they process slow. And if you give them a chance to process, you will have a jam up horse, because the ones that process slow, it sticks. You don't have to keep reteaching them.
Right. Right.
But if they don't slow down, they bum rush through it and they miss an opportunity.
Actually, the donkeys have taught me that. Rolling into the donkeys.
Yes.
They are definitely the ones who taught me how to slow down.
I love donkeys. I will definitely be having me some. My neighbor has 6, and they're absolutely hilarious. They all have different personalities, but they have like 5 acres of grass, 5 or 10 acres of grass. I mean, it's like their pastures are huge. And
I struggle with mine, and they're on dry lots. And I also take out, which I have to start again because I don't know if you saw, but Lily had aborted her baby and she didn't retain the pregnancy. And I went and took her, had her ultrasounded because I was like, she's way past due. And she didn't have the baby, but she looks like she's pregnant, and she was even producing milk, and it was just a chemical pregnancy, at that point, whatever. And Dr. Wood was like, well, I guess it's just time for her to go back on a diet. And I'm like, she's so mad about it too. Like, she is not a happy camper with me.
So if they're on a dry lot, what do you feed them? How do you keep them healthy? What does all that look like compared to horses?
Well, with the donkeys, I feed them hay twice a day, and I usually try to put it in bags. So, they have to, work at it a little bit harder. Back when I didn't think that she was pregnant, I would take and hang the hay bales all in different spots and just try to make them walk and stuff more. And I also it's at Tractor Supply. It's by the brand Do More, but it is the straw that you bed down dog beds or sheep or horse bedding or whatever. It's the straw. It says straw on it. But you actually take it and you mix it in with their regular hay, because donkeys can and will eat that because it has no nutritional value. Horses won't eat it, but donkeys will. And so I mix that in with their regular hay, so they're really eating more straw than they are horse hay.
Well, that's okay. That's interesting.
And then sometimes I'll take, some sugar-free treats and things and put them in the bowl, so they have to roll it all around all over the place, and, to try to keep them busy. And then other than that, they just get a little small portion of ration balancer.
Okay. So
they're still fat.
And they're so fat. Your donkeys are miniature donkeys, right? Miniature to maybe a little bit taller?
Well, yeah, I have miniatures, and then I have one mammoth.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And my mammoth, he just eats what the horses eat. He eats Unbeatable Complete. He gets a smaller portion than them, even though he's bigger than they are. He gets a smaller portion, and then they have a round bale out there, and I keep a hay net over the round bale, and he stays pretty fit, on that. But even he eats less than the horses do.
Yeah. So is it an eating they don't have to eat as much, or is it?
Yes. So, they came from the desert, so they're desert animals. So they can digest, I think it's 80-85% of what they eat, they can break that down. So they are actually digesting the nutrients a lot more efficiently than horses do. That's why also whenever you give them sedatives and stuff, they burn it off. Their metabolism burns it off. So you have to be careful about sedatives and stuff that you give donkeys because of the way that their metabolism is different than horses. So they can just metabolize the food a whole lot easier than other equines, and so they don't need as much.
So that's why my neighbors eat her bark off the trees.
Yeah. Yeah, they love that. I know I don't have any trees in my dry lot because when we built it, we had trees out there, but they just love to eat the bark. And yeah, and that's another thing. You can take old logs and old branches that have dried out and throw it out there in the dry lot, and they'll drag them around and chew on them and things like that you wouldn't do with horses.
Yeah.
But the donkeys eat stuff like that and chew on things like that.
I knew they did, and that's so interesting, but it's also even more interesting to hear that it's hard to keep them from like being crusty, even if you have a dry lot and hardly no food. It's almost, but it makes sense if you think about them living in the desert because they probably go miles without food.
Yes.
And then they finally get food and they like fill their bellies up and it's who knows what, trees, tree branches, this and that.
Right, all dried up grasses. Right. It's not usually green and fresh and wet like horses.
So does that affect their feet more? Do they have more metabolic issues?
Here in the southeast, sure. Definitely. Yeah. Like Lily has foundered multiple times in the past, so we have to really stay on top of her feet. So far my other ones have really good feet and they're all okay, but Lily's definitely been foundered in the past. And it is common. I've had multiple rescue donkeys. Because another thing is like people get them and then they just dump them out in these pens and they don't ever handle them. And then they're mad at them because they don't know how to get their feet done.
Well, this is so interesting because, I don't know if you keep up with Bunny or Jelly Roll.
Mm-hmm, right, yes.
And they just got donkeys. And I'm like on lush green grass. And I'm like, whoa. And then I'm like, oh goodness, this is going to be interesting. But the thing that makes me so nervous about it is like, they're going to say you shouldn't have these animals because at some point they're not going to look good, right? And that's not going to be what they want. And they're not going to know because they don't have the education, because you can clearly see if you follow the story that whoever sold them their animals did it for the fame and the this and the that, because if I was selling Bunny a donkey, that donkey would be the most lovable donkey, but I would also make sure that they had a completely like grass-free pasture and they understood what was going on. You could just tell that they were set up not for success. And that really.
If you do have to put them on a pasture with grass, like they need to be able to wear muzzles, like put a grazing muzzle on them if you don't have any options,
If you watched it, you probably wouldn't even be able to catch the daggum donkey, and they can't even catch the donkey. They had to get another donkey to catch that donkey.
Sometimes, there's two types of donkeys. They're the greatest creature on the entire planet, and I've said it 1,000 times, and I will say it until the end of time. If I had known how wonderful donkeys are, I wouldn't even own horses, because they are just that good. 99% of them are no problems. And then you have the small percentage.
Yes. Yeah.
That just make you just want to just split them. You're like, why are you the way that you are? And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do with those. Like that is just how they are. And that's just how they're always going to be. And no amount of training or whatever is going to change that behavior.
That is really good to know.
99% of them are wonderful.
Yeah. I love it. There's that 1%, that one.
Correct. So well, I went and got one donkey one time she was left out on a huge cattle farm, and they grew hay and sold hay. And so this donkey was the largest thing I've ever seen. Like, she was grotesque how big, her stuff was. But they asked me, like, if I would come, and her name was Miss Jackie. And so I went to go pick Miss Jackie up. She had never been haltered. She had never been touched, anything. So we drove the horse trailer out into the field. And the lady told me that she loved soft peppermints. So I bought one of those big, containers of soft peppermints out there. And we started feeding them to her. Well, within like 10 minutes, I had the halter on her. And I was like, okay, cool. So we had her up to the horse trailer. It took about 2 hours, but I talked her into getting onto the horse trailer with soft peppermints. She just one little tiny foot at a time, little step. And she knew every time she went forward, she'd get a peppermint. And then it was like right there at the end, it clicked in her head, and she just jumped right in.
Yep, they're very interesting. Like I said, there's 6. There's one I love him. His name is Ollie. He's my favorite, and he's my favorite. Well, one because he's got a really big personality, and you can tell that he's like the outcast. Because there's a couple of them that are like calico, and then like their other ones are Jesus donkeys. But Ollie is always out there, and he's the one that's messing with everybody. And some of them like pick back at him, and then half the time his winker's out, and I'm like, "Yep, he's neutered." But yep, he's just like that's how his mind still works, and he either wants to play with you one way or play with you another.
They are so funny. Like they are really fun creatures, and I do like a lot of sessions with people that have like a lot of anxiety. Like they love horses, they want to be around horses, but they're terrified of them. And when they try to go to different places for riding lessons, it's just too overwhelming. They get spooked because, they just saddle the horse up and throw the person on there and then try to get them to walk, trot, and canter, and they're like terrified the entire time. But really, all they really want to do is just hang out with them. And so, like, I just bring them out there and we set up chairs in the donkey pen, and they just hang out with donkeys the entire time. And the donkeys will practically climb in your lap. Some of them will. I have to be really careful with Lucas, my mammoth, because he will get in your lap, and he is entirely too big for that. And he just thinks you should hold him like a little baby. And I'm like, I can't. Your ear is bigger than a baby. Like,
I love it. Is he the one? Like, does he have white and gray on him? And then his head's taller than yours, but maybe his back he's not as tall as a horse.
Right. Yeah. He's roughly around like 13.3, 14 hands, something like that. But his head is like almost as long as my torso.
Yeah, he's so cute. They're so cute. Y'all will have to go find Ginger tell them where to find you again.
Manzanita Farm, pretty much on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook.
I love it. That's
all those social subs.
Is there anybody you want me to channel or anything that you want to know before we close this out?
Can you ask Goose, my Boston Terrier, why he keeps constantly throwing his toys behind the couch?
I think I've seen videos of this. He's light colored.
Yes, he's a cream and white Boston, and he's deaf, and it's 24/7. But then he wants me to get the toys from behind the couch, but he will look me dead in the eye and drop the toys behind the couch, and I want to strangle him.
So do you really want to know why he does this?
I really want to know why will he not stop doing this?
That's how he gets you to play with him. That's the whole thing.
But I will throw it for him. Like, why does he have to keep putting it back there?
It's so much fun to like drop it down the hole. That's how he says. I look at her and I'm like, and I look at her and I'm like, are you ready? And you give him this look of like, don't you do that? But he thinks that's let's go, let's play. And then he runs over there and he thinks it's like, you just drop it down the hole and it's so much fun. And then he gets to just sit back and like, it's the whole anticipation and the work of it all and everything that you have to go through. It's just like this whole game. Like, yep, mommy's getting it for me. And this is so exciting. And I love it because it's down there. And I know it's down there. And somehow if I could just get it, I would. But she's got to get it. But this is so exciting.
That's exactly what it does.
It's a whole entire game. And if he could get it, he would. So if that helps you in any way to figure out another way that he can, maybe you go get a tube and paint it dark because there's a darkness about this that he likes that is on his level. Maybe the tube is at the edge of the couch. I don't know. And he drops it and teach him to drop it in the tube, and then it falls out the bottom where he can go to the side of the couch and get it. It's almost like dropping this is actually a great like TikTok thing. Drop the ball thrower. He would probably be really good at the one that you can drop the ball and throw it thing.
Oh, that's a good idea. Like I might have to get him one of those. Just sit out there and press the button and throw it.
Well, like let
the ball and it shoots back out or something like that.
Yeah, teach him to take the ball and put it in the hole so it'll shoot it.
I can't teach him nothing. He teaches me really well.
Yes, you can teach him, not teach him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have to get one of those.
Yeah. He's fun though. He enjoys it. Listen, you don't need TV when you have him.
No, you can't watch TV when you have him. That's not happening.
He keeps you in the moment.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast with Ginger from Manzanita Farm. She has marsh tackies and donkeys, and now she has a horse gifted to her from someone that had passed away and said, "Hey, Ginger will take her." Don't you just love that as a horse person? So if you have a fun educational story, or if you have some horse or dog or cat related story or business or educational thing that you would like to showcase on this podcast, please reach out to me at Rosalind the Pet Psychic. I would love to hear all about it. And I'm sure everybody else would too. Have a great day.